Hello everyone out there in YouTube land, my name is Will, this is Will of the Nerds, and we're back with another deck tech video, and today we're doing a Dimir deck, and I don't have a Dimir deck on here yet. I thought my Assassin and Rogue one was a Dimir deck until I realized that I needed green mana for Vraska, so it is a tricolor deck, but at heart it's a Dimir deck. And then last time we did an Abzan deck, and here's all the other decks I have. I actually have more tricolor decks than I thought, man. Okay. But we're going to jump right in. We're going to call this one Dimir Control, because why not? Casual format as the usual. And like every other video, we're going to start with the mana base first. So, of course, Dimir is black and blue, so we're going to start with the islands, because they were on top of my land stack here. And this deck, if you could see, has Elreka on the back of it, because my friend got me these sleeves for Christmas, and I really like them. They are very pretty, and it's not a smutty picture of her either. It's a nice, pretty picture. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7... I miscounted. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 islands to start with. So 9 enter. And then we have swamps. So let's look and see how many we got. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Again. 9 swamps. Now we're up to 18 lands. Okay, so next we have Dimir Guild Gates, because, of course, Dimir Guild Gate. We have a playset of them. We're just going to make them Guilds of Ravnica. Why not? Because I think that's what... That's old Gate Crash. Okay. Can we... Yeah, let's... Yeah, Gate Crash. That's what they all are. So that's what I'm going to make them. And then we have 2 choked estuaries, which I believe are pretty expensive cards. If I'm not mistaken. Shadows of Innistrad. Let's look and see. Okay, they're not terrible. But it enters tapped unless you show. Yeah, it's a show land. Okay. Unless you show a Schwamp or an Island. So there's your mana base for 24 mana altogether. And now we're just going to go with what is on top. So now I have to find the other card of this. So where are you? Where are you? It's going to be the last card, isn't it? Oh yeah, of course it is. Okay, so we have 2 Fate Spinners. And they're both from, I don't know what set that is. That's exactly what it's called. Mirrodin. Okay. Okay. And at the beginning of each opponent's upkeep, that player chooses draw step, main phase, or combat phase. The player skips each instance of the chosen step or phase this turn. So they have to skip one of the steps, which is, it's nice. So there you go, some control stuff. A control-y wizard. So do you want to attack this turn, or do you want to do everything else this turn? Which my one friend who likes to draw cards, he might skip his draw step because he's still going to draw cards anyway. Okay, so we are on to the next card. If I can find it. I swear to God, if it's the last card again, okay, it's not. I'm not that bad. All right, there we go. Thief of... I guess if I can spell right, I before E, except after E. I before E, except after C. That's what it is. Thief of Sanity. It is the same set. Down here, Ravnica. Yeah, Guilds of Ravnica. That's what it is. Flying. Whenever Thief of Sanity deals combat damage to a player, look at the top 3 cards of that player's library. Exile one of them face down, then put the rest into their graveyard. For as long as that card remains exiled, you may look at it, and you may cast it, and you may spend mana as though it were mana of any color to cast it. So not only are they having to skip a step, now I'm stealing the cards and I can cast them using any mana. So basically makes their spells colorless, and I get to cast them whenever I want. Oh, look, that was right on top. Let's make sure I don't have any other ones, because I think I have 2 or 3 of some of them in here. I thought I did. Maybe I don't. Okay, maybe I don't. Ignore me. Okay, so what is this? Surku? I thought that was Churku, but it's not. It's CI. Surku, Dimir Lobotomist from the Guilds of Ravnica. Set. There we go. Whenever you cast a blue spell, exile the top card of target player's library. Whenever you cast a black spell, exile the top card of target player's library. Your opponent can't cast spells with the same name as a card exiled with this. I can only have one of them out because he's legendary, which is probably why there's only 2 in there instead of 4. Or else I'd probably have 4 in there because I like that card. It's very, you know, because you're playing Dimir, so every spell you cast is going to trigger one, or it's going to trigger both of them. So, you know, you're either exiling 1 card or 2 cards, and then guess what? Like, if you have a playset, there's a small percentage of your deck that you can't play anymore. Oops. Not oops. I need to play this deck more often. I haven't played it in a while. Okay, so now we have Obnixilis, Hate Twisted. We have 2 of him, and he is from War of the Spark. What the hell? Uncommon? Yeah. That. Oh no, it's not. Definitely not the Japanese one. I wish, but I don't have a Japanese version of him yet, I believe. Whenever an opponent draws a card, Omnixilis the Hate Twisted deals 1 damage to that player. -2, destroy target creatures. Its controller draws 2 cards. So, I mean, you're destroying a creature, but they're taking 2 life because they draw a card. But they have to, if they skip their draw step, then Omnixilis isn't doing anything. But if they skip their combat step, then they're going to draw a card. And like my one friend likes to draw cards, so every time he draws cards, he's going to get pinged for damage from an Omnixilis, who just hates it. He hates when people draw cards. It's twisted him so bad. It's twisted his nipples the wrong way. Okay, so now we have another Planeswalker in here. We have Ashyawk. Oops. Ashyawk Dream Renderer. Renderer. Uncommon. Okay, let's see. Spells and abilities your opponents control can't cause their abilities to search their library. Which I don't have... I mean, okay. My one friend has stuff that lets him search for cards. Search for land. So Ashyawk renders that ability useless. -1, target player puts the top 4 cards of their library into their graveyard, then exile each opponent's graveyard. So I can do that 5 times before she is dead. So I can do that 10 times because I have 2 of them. Chances are they're probably going to either try to destroy Ashyawk or they're going to attack her. Like, that's what's going to happen with any of the Planeswalkers you have out, so, you know. Is what it is. You can have stuff in here to protect them, though, which is nice, so... You can block with your creatures if need be. Okay, so am I missing it? Nope, there it is. I just can't see. Now we have Notion Thief. All kinds of thieves in here. And they're from one of the Ravnica things. Don't know what set this is. Oh, it's Dragon's Maze. Oh. Okay. Okay, that must be one of the most expensive cards in the set. Jesus. Flash. If an opponent would draw a card except the first one he or she draws, and each of his or her draw steps instead, that player skips that draw, and I draw. So, I mean, you kind of got to be careful, or you're not going to... Or my opponent's not drawing cards. Because if they choose to skip the draw step and Notion Thieves out, then they're just not drawing cards, no matter what. So yeah, this is definitely dickish. Very dickish. My friends did not like this deck when I played against it. Okay, so now I think I have a play set. Okay, never mind. Well, let's see here. Okay. Okay, I have three of each of these. Okay, so the first one we have is Mind Grind, which we have 3 of. Boom, Gate Crash. $4.99. Each opponent reveals cards from the top of his or her library until he or she reveals X lands cards, then puts all cards revealed this way into his or her graveyard, but X can't be 0. So, I mean, you can mill them out a decent bit. I actually need to put this in my mill deck. I should actually look into making just a Dimir mill deck, which I think I might kind of have one already. I just don't know what it's called, because sometimes I give weird names to some of my decks. And now we have Mine Funeral. 1, a 2, a 3. I believe it's all from the same set. It is. I don't know what this one is. Alara Reborn. Okay. Target opponent reveals cards from the top of his or her library until 4 land cards are revealed. That player puts all cards in this way into their graveyard. So more mill. Maybe it is this deck that has just the mill kind of stuff in it. But we can exit out of that and on to the next card, which I don't know how many I have of these. I think, do I have 3 or do I just have 2? I have 2. So we have Paranoid Delusions next. Paranoid Delusions, 2 of them. This is just a common card, really? Man, this is might as well just call this my Gate Crash deck. Target player puts the top 3 cards of his or her library into his or her graveyard. Cipher. I may exile this spell card and encode it on a creature. Whenever that creature deals damage to a player, its controller may cast a copy of this without paying its mana cost. So it's basically, when it's dealing damage, it's milling too, which I really like. 2 mana, and then you can cipher it onto a creature. I'm assuming. Okay, so as soon as I do it, I have to exile it and then cipher. I'm guessing. I guess you can't just let it in exile and then cipher whenever you want. Because if you can't cipher it, then I'm assuming it just goes to the graveyard. Okay. There is one creature in here that I would probably get rid of for something else. I don't know why it's in here. I think I had 2 of them, which is just why it's in here. But next we have Torment of Hailfire, which I won the game with this the last time I played this deck. Because I played one Torment of Hailfire, and my friends were like, oh, Jesus Christ. And then next turn, I cast the other one I had in my hand after I had 1 more mana, and like they couldn't then. Like, I think I played it for 4, and then I played it next turn for 5 because I didn't have anything else. Like, they kept destroying my creatures or countering my creatures, and I didn't have any planeswalkers out. I think I had 1 thing out to block, and I was like, okay, well, I guess I'm doing this for 4. Repeat the following process X times. Each opponent loses 3 life unless that player sacrifices a non-land permanent or discards a card. It might not have been in this deck, but I have Torment of Hailfire in another deck that, if not, I need to put it in a deck where you discard. And I do want to make a deck that makes you discard stuff, and I should put Torment of Hailfire in there with like Raider's Wake and stuff like that. That way, like, if you do discard, you're losing life. I think I might do that with the new god in Kaldheim. I can't remember what it is, but if a card enters their graveyard from anywhere or something like that, I get control of it. So, yeah, definitely gonna make a deck that makes people discard stuff, and then they get damage for discarding. Okay, so we have Psychic. Man, there's all kinds of stuff here. Psychic Possession. 2 of them. It is an enchantment from Dissension. I don't know what that was. Okay. Dissension. I've never heard of that set before. Enchant opponent, skip your draw step. Whenever an enchant opponent draws a card, you may draw a card. So yeah, we're back to the you can't draw anything stuff. Fun, right? Okay, so now we have Psychic Strike, I believe, for 2. No, we have 3 of them in here. Okay, so we're getting close to the end of the deck. So, actually, let's just let that there. Nope. I didn't want to hit enter. Did I hit enter? Yeah, I did hit enter on something. Psychic Strike. Oh, yeah, I do not want two more of these in there. That's 48. Thank you. Psychic Strike. 1, 2, 3. And now we can go down. Gate Crash. I might as well just call this my Gate Crash deck, right? Counter target spell. Its controller puts the top 2 cards of his or her library into his or her graveyard. So there's your counter spell. There's your control stuff. It also helps you mill. Because of course, you're not drawing any cards, you're just milling stuff. Some of the stuff's coming to me. You know, it's real fun. Okay, so we have a Rexial. This is the card I believe you can get rid of. You don't have to run this. I probably would get rid of it. Okay, so it is Magic the Gathering Commander. I wonder if is that the first Commander set that came out? Okay, Island Walk, Swamp Walk. When it deals combat damage to a player, you may cast target instant or sorcery card from that player's graveyard without paying its mana cost. If that card would be put into a graveyard this turn, exile instead. Okay, I mean, I guess it's not terrible. You can play it. So, I mean, search for mana, destroy creature, put +1/+1 counters on. I guess it depends on what they have. You can clear the board a little bit, I'm sure. Okay, so that's not terrible. Okay, I take that back. I would leave him in there. It's a little more control. It's taking stuff out of your opponent's graveyard and using it against them, and then it's getting exiled, so they're not going to be able to get it back. Okay, so now we have another 3 of. We have 3 of Murko, Vosk, Murko, Vosk, Mind Drinker, and they are all from the same set. Okay, Murko. I don't know why I was thinking Virko. Probably because the last name got me weird. Dragon's Maze. Okay. I think he's flying. He is flying. When Murko Vosk Mind Drinker deals damage to a player, that player reveals cards from the top of his or her library until he or she reveals 4 land cards and puts those cards into his or her library. So, more mill. So, it's like, it's preventing you from drawing cards, and it's just milling your cards. So, if you get it out quick enough, like, your opponent's not doing nothing. Okay, so now we have Unmoored Ego. We have 2 of those. Go down here, Guilds of Ravnica. Okay. This one I want to use in another deck too, which, good thing it's not very expensive. Choose a card name, search target opponent's graveyard, hand, and library for up to 4 cards with that name, and exile them. Then player shuffles their library, then draws a card for each card exiled from their hand this way. There is a few other, I believe, black cards where an opponent shows their hand, or you name a card and they can't play them, or if you make an opponent discard a card and they can't play the cards discarded that way. I want to build a deck around that where I just make them discard stuff and they can't play that. I name a card, they can't play it. Just basically get rid of their whole deck. And what's nice is if they're instants and sorcery spells and they can't counter them, then they're just losing that card for the game and there's no way they're getting it back. And then the last card is Night Vale Spectre. I think he doesn't really do a whole lot. He's just in here for, I believe, just a flying purpose. Deals combat damage to a player. That player exiles the top card of his or her library. You may play cards. Okay. So, never mind. It's another fuck you card. You exile your stuff and then I get to play it. You know, it's not a big deal. It's alright. That is this deck, so we can save it. Hit OK. 15 creatures, 4 planeswalkers, 12 sorceries, 3 instants, 24 lands, and 2 enchantments. So there's a little bit of everything, and except for artifacts. And there is the details. So the mana source is split in half, but the mana distribution is just a tick in blue. And how much is this deck? $123. That's a little more expensive than I thought. The Torment Hailfire is what does a lot of it. The swamps? Why the hell are the swamps this much? Cheapest version is one. Yeah, like that's the swamps you'd be getting. Jesus fucking Christ. I would not pay $10 for swamps. So, like, okay, so $110. Islands, probably a lot cheaper than that. So $12 off of that. And you could probably get, like, damaged versions of this stuff for a lot cheaper, too. Why? Like, why? I would never spend that much money for land. Jesus. Okay, visual spoilers. There you go. So you can look. We'll scroll down. That way you get a look at everything. I don't know why I didn't do that the past couple videos. Like, you might not know. I mean, I show what the cards look like, I guess, anyway. Okay, so starting hand. Let's take a look here. I play Swamp. Play an Island. Play an Island. Thief of Insanity. Add another card. There's a Swamp. Let's see. You have 4 mana? Ooh, Omnixilus costs 1 more. I'm not doing nothing. Oh. I'm playing Mind Funeral. And then if they don't have anything out, if they don't have a flyer, I'm attacking with Thief of Insanity. I'm also going to attack with Thief of Insanity last turn, too. Okay, so all of your mana's out. I probably play Omnixilus now at this point. Add another card. Notion Thief. Definitely. Add another card. Okay. Murko Vosk. And now what do? You have a couple creatures out, so maybe Paranoid Delusions, and then you can cipher it and put it on a creature, and then you can attack with your creature, and then hopefully that triggers Paranoid Delusions again on the cipher. Add another card. Okay, so at this point, what can you do? You have 1, 2... You have 5 mana. I would probably play Mind Grind. That would be Mind Grind for 3. Better than nothing. So, I mean, they're going to lose 3 lands, and then everything's going to go into graveyard. Okay, so there's that. There's your other mana to play this. Legendary Kraken. Draw. I don't know. I'm going to assume one of your creatures is probably dead at this point. Add another card. And this is where I play Torment of Hailfire for however much. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Play one of your Torment of Hailfires for 5. You can't reveal anything, so that enters tapped. And I'm holding my other Torment of Hailfire. Maybe at this point you play your other Omnixilus. Play your Dimir Guildgate. I'm still holding on to that Torment of Hailfire if I'm still alive. And then this is where I play Torment of Hailfire. Because I would keep going. If I'm making my land drop, I'm going to keep playing my lands until I hit a non-land drop. And if you keep them untapped, they might think you have a counterspell too. So they might be a little hesitant to do something. Because you're playing blue also. And like you got Psychic Strike there. So there's your counterspell. And then you could play Torment of Hailfire for, what's that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And that'll probably win you the game there. If not, it's going to open them a lot because chances are they're not going to have 7 cards in hand to just discard. So they might discard like 2 cards. And then they got to do something 5 times, and like it's got to be a non-land permanent. And if you're trading blows, they might only have a couple creatures out. Now, if they have a bunch of creatures to sacrifice, then they might take 3 life and then sacrifice 4 creatures. But since you did it a couple turns prior, chances are they might only have like 3 creatures out on the board. Okay, and then there's your probabilities for everything. Of course, they go up the further the game goes on. And we can go back to the overview. Tools, add cards to the collection, add to collection, and with that, if you guys could please, I lost my train of thought. If you guys could please like, subscribe, share, hit that bell icon, that way you get notified every time I upload a new video. You can follow me over on Facebook and Twitter. The links to those are in the description. And with that, I'll see you guys on the next one.